Okay, we are recording. Hey everyone, it is Mandy Jarvie here. I'm a director in Southern California. It is, oh my gosh, Tuesday, December 12th, I think. This is our second call of our Leader in Training series. And the intention of this series starting now in December, which is obviously one of the craziest months of the year for a lot of families, is because this planning and prepping right now in December helps us jumpstart January and our businesses into the winter and into the new year. So I'm here with Sarah Anderson. Sarah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hopefully you all got to hear from me last week, so hopefully you've done that call. But my name is Sarah Anderson, and I'm a director here in Denver, Colorado. A little bit more info about me. My bio was on the last call, so we're not going to go into that. But you guys haven't really gotten a formal introduction on Mandy yet. So I just want to share with you really quick that Mandy is one of the top directors in all of Wildtree, and she is also a NICU nurse, which is a fun fact. She was the very first director to exist in the state of California, and Mandy has one kiddo, and honestly, she's consistently tops in a lot of things in the company. So if you haven't met Mandy or you don't know her, surely you know of her and her famous name. So Mandy's tops has been recognized for being tops in sales, tops in recruiting, tops in leader development. And so we are just so excited to be able to partner with Mandy Jarvie in this program, in this series heading forward too. So as I'm sure you've probably figured out, Mandy and I are leading the call this week, so we are going to jump right in. You good, Mandy?
Yep, we're good.
Okay, awesome. Well, before we started the recording, we did quick intros of those of you who are on live, but I know a lot of our leaders in training are doing the playback because some of you work other jobs or you have a conflict at this time, but we are just going to review a few things from the call last week and then move forward into some additional training. So a few things just to cover that we touched on last week, but we want to be really clear about. I just introduced Mandy Jarvie. You got to hear from the awesome Holly Cleese last week, and myself. We have one other director you'll get to hear from. Her name is Amber Winfrey. We want to be really clear that even though us directors have collaborated and we've partnered in this program to give you our best tools and training and tips and networking ideas, it's still really important that you work directly with your leader or your director. And so Holly shared on last week's call that none of us are really related in regard to on each other's team. We're all independent in the company, but we've just decided to link arms to start this series up. So just know you get the best of both worlds. You get to hear different perspective and ideas and training from a whole slew of top directors. But in the end, we're just going to ask that you always go directly back to whoever it is that you work with, whether that's your upline leader or one of us as your directors. Hopefully that makes sense. So we just ask simply that you don't reach out one-on-one. If you're on my team, for example, don't message Holly Cleese and be like, hey, Holly, can you help me with this? Or, can you explain this better? You'll just need to make sure you go to whoever your upline is. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. Next, just to kind of touch on a few other expectations here, we are going to ask that you are on these calls live if at all possible. If not every single one, at least most of them. There is a lot of value of being on live. We have some interaction and we want to hear from you guys, and it really helps us to best tailor things and customize this training. And so we ask that you do try to be on live unless you have a major conflict. I know one of my LITs, she's a nurse and she works in a hospital. So that's kind of extenuating. But we also ask that this is not really a time that you're multitasking. And so if you're going to be on live, we just ask that you are engaged, that you're in a place where you can focus, where you can fully listen, and ideally even take some notes. Just to really get the most out of it. Those of us directors who are leading these, we've put a lot of time and energy, and we are fully invested in you guys during these 45-minute calls, and so we just ask you to reciprocate that, because in the end, you get out of it what you put into it. And so, if you're trying to do 10 different things at once, chances are you're only going to get a fraction of what you really can get out of this time together. So The next thing that we ask is that you do have a one-on-one scheduled with your upline leader or director. We talked about this in quite a bit of depth last week, the importance of this, but it really is, it goes hand in hand. So we offer these weekly group calls, but it's super important that you also have a time set aside each week where you are connecting for your individual calls as well, just so that we can customize things even further, help you with any roadblocks, troubleshoot, help you come up with scripts and verbiage that work for you. We can give you general ideas on these group calls, but in the end, we really want to emphasize the importance of those one-on-ones. Okay, so I also want to say that we are really here to set you guys up for success. We wholeheartedly believe that this team leader thing can and will happen for you. This promotion is 100% attainable, and I can say that with such conviction because if you look at the number of leaders the 4 of us directors have promoted over the years, we are looking at hundreds of leaders. And so you can do this. We want you to know that with the right amount of effort and time, we are going to help you to take advantage of our busiest selling season. So, you know, one way to think about this, as far as, you know, your decision to go for team leader and give yourself that pay raise, is, you know, it's pretty much the same type of work as you're doing as a representative, but the pay is much better. So what we want to do here is just help you to really hone in on the skills and step it up a notch. You're basically doing the same things as a rep, a little bit more of them, more focused time and specialized training like this, but you're going to be getting almost twice as much pay. And so when you promote to team leader, you also we covered last week how the requirements are. You have to hit the minimums 2 months in a row before you're officially titled as a team leader. But what's so cool here at WildTree is as part of this program, we are setting you up to hit your first month numbers in January. I like to think about this as kind of like you're qualifying. You're showing the world like, hey, I have what it takes to be a team leader. And then when you do it again in February, your title becomes official March 1st. But what's so cool is WildTree's going to pay you at team leader level for all of your work in February. So they recto pay you. They go back in time and pay you for that month, which is honestly kind of unheard of. I don't know very many companies that do that, if any. Usually you have to do it 2 months in a row and then your pay starts going forward. Well, WildTree retroactivates that pay, which is so cool. You get that higher paycheck even sooner. Okay, so we talked a little bit about how this truly is the best time of year to go for this, with January being super busy. We're going to help you this month during December to lay the groundwork to launch into January, the new year, super strong. So here's the thing. Like I said a few minutes ago, every single one of you have what it takes to make this happen. And really what it comes down to is a lot of grit. This is totally possible, but we must just work with intention, and we're going to help you with that. We have new leaders promote in this company every single month, and the 4 of us directors, as well as your leaders as part of this program, we have your back 100%. We know what it takes to get you to leader, and we're going to help you. But we ask just a few things. We ask that you trust us. And we ask that you be willing to do what we say, what we ask, even if it seems a little bit outside of your comfort zone. Just stay focused. Take a chance, take a leap of faith, and chances are you're going to have to try some new things here. If what you've currently been doing with WildTree worked, if that was enough to get you to leader, you would already be there, right? So just keep that in mind. We're going to have to shake things up a bit, and you're probably going to reach outside your comfort zone to make this happen. And so we're going to be teaching you a lot of new skills, and these are all the skills that the leaders in our company have. So this is going to be totally worth it. I just want to say that. And if at any time, which you probably will, you are feeling unsure, you have any doubt, you are feeling shaky or nervous, or even like, you know what, this is just too hard, I don't know if it's meant to be, I think I'm going to throw in the towel. I'm going to tell you right now, stop. Don't even go there. Chances are you're going to feel that way at some point in time. And that is when we ask you to please go back to your leader or your director, whoever you're working with in your one-on-ones, because guess what? Like I said, we have promoted so many leaders. And when you get to that place, there's no better time to connect with them and let us help you. Let us help you overcome that and see that this actually is possible. But here's the thing, we have to work together on this, and we really need super open and honest communication. So just tell us how you're feeling and let us help you. Keep us in the loop when things get hard. Let us celebrate with you when things are going awesome and you have successes. So when things don't go as planned or they feeling like they're kind of starting to fall apart, remember this conversation, okay? I ask that of you guys. Okay. So a couple other quick things here before I turn it over to Mandy. Make sure that you keep in front of you the benefits of promoting to team leader, which we outlined in detail last month. Sometimes we get to this place where we start to question like, oh, is this worth it? Why am I doing this anyway? Keep those benefits in front of you, and especially the benefits that are really meaningful to you. And we also ask that you keep the requirements in front of you. In the midst of all of the information and the training and the skills and the activity that happens, sometimes it has happened, believe it or not, people lose sight of what they actually need to achieve, and then they miss it by like a hair, or they forget that they have to do it 2 months in a row and they do it 1 month and they think they're done. Let's not let that happen. So keep the benefits in front of you, keep the requirements in front of you so we can make sure that you get there. And then the last two things really quick here is just do the work. Do the activity that we give you and stick with us. And this is totally going to happen. So there's my little pep talk. I'm going to turn it over to Mandy. Go ahead.
Yay. Okay. So, hold on. I'm making sure I was on track and then I went back up a little bit.
That's okay. Take your time. We have a ton of notes here. We want to make sure we're in the right place, you guys.
Okay. So we had chatted about the expectations, success. I want to make sure we didn't miss anything. The grit. Okay, so now let's go and dive into, let's do a little sharing from last week. Is that okay, Sarah, that we share from last week?
Yes, for sure. So
okay.
Last week,
so
we talked about vision, and that's where Mandy's going to pick up next.
So we really chatted about that vision last week. And so with that, if you don't have a clear vision, it's not that you're in the wrong by any means, but that's just where it really comes in and is really important for you to connect with your upline team leader and make this your number one priority today. Don't put it off to tomorrow or next week or Friday or this weekend, because the more you put it off, the harder it is for you to really connect to that. So really make that really, really important to connect with your vision, because your vision is what's going to be your greater push to make and hit your goals. It's not just that goal of, I want to promote to team leader, but like, what's your vision in your Wild Tree business? So because Adrienne's on the call and because I think her vision is so great and so grand, I'm just going to share hers quickly. Not in depth, but what's really important, Adrienne had this vision when she first started her business. She was a customer of mine, just like I think Cindy had said, that she's been around for years as a customer, and she just joined in August. And Adrienne was like that, but a year before you. And she was an awesome customer, hosted several times. But for her, when she came in, she's like, I want something for me. I want something for me, something I can be proud of, something I can call my own, money that I'm making for me and my family to have these experiences, to give them experiences. And she dove in, and that is her greater, when life hits her hard, when there's ups and downs, when there is more distractions than there are reasons to get out of bed and work your business, she's working it. And so having that greater vision is what's going to drive you. And the amount of the amount of craziness that hits you in a day could really drive you from that if you don't have a strong vision. And so we often say, oh, I'll get to that tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow. But if your vision is so strong for whatever it is, for me, it's experiences with my family and that strong vision of what exact things I want to hit. If I didn't have that, I could get distracted with 482 other things in this minute alone, much less in the day. And so having that greater vision is like, nope, I need to get to my list. Like I have this list, like I need to get to it because this will help me drive my business and reach my bigger goals and my vision. Okay. So Sorry, Adrienne, I hope I didn't throw you under the bus. But it's really that burn in your belly, that drive, your dream, your big picture. Those goals along the way are fabulous, and really will get you to that bigger picture, but having that vision is super critical. So picking up where we left off, is there anybody that would love to share their vision if you've already constructed yours? And Adrienne, you can certainly add to whatever I said. I didn't want to divulge and overshare.
You did a beautiful job, Mandy. You're good. Thank you.
Cindy or Maria or Carrie. You can go. I know you want to talk. I see it.
Sorry. I was trying to unmute. I would like to be at home more. So I have another full-time job. I'm fascinated that you're a NICU nurse, and I applaud you for that. I work at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, and I've been there 25 years, but I'm not clinical. I'm in fundraising. And this summer, it's a long story, but this has been a really rocky kind of roller coaster year for me career-wise at my other job. And by coincidence, my two friends who were Wild Tree reps previously are no longer reps. So I got into Wild Tree just kind of on a whim, and then realized I really liked it, and everybody's so supportive, and decided to put a little more effort into it than I thought. So, but I would love to be able to be at home more, because I get in my car and I drive 26 miles away, most days of the week. And I've been doing that for 25 years, and I'm ready for a change.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Cindy.
Thanks.
Carrie, do you have anything you want to share?
Sure, thanks. I was having a sneeze attack, so I went off camera, but I'm taking notes. I just didn't want to be distracting. Yeah, I relate to that, exactly what Cindy just said. I have two teenagers and a tween, and it's interesting and fascinating realization to me that as they get older, I need to be around more. I think when our kids are young, we picture it differently. But so for me, working outside the home, which I've done a lot of in my business, my health coaching business, is different and difficult. And so I think like everything about this appeals to me, because everyone that I attract and work with wants to be eating healthy and wants not just help for themselves, but help for their whole family. And because I have teenage boys who, are pretty athletic and pretty active, who love this food, it's a great sell. So for me, it's just a matter of figuring out like, okay, how do I get out of the house at night to do parties? But it's not an insurmountable issue. And my kids actually like when I have people come here to do it. So I think for me, my vision is to incorporate this because it fits nicely into who I attract and what I'm doing anyway. And then just kind of get over that issue of time, like when. So that's, yeah.
Awesome. And I love that you bring up the time factor, Carrie, because that is huge. Time, we don't have spare time. So when you're like, oh, I'll do that in my spare time, like there's never spare time.
What's that?
Exactly. And so it really comes down to the prioritizing. And that's what your vision will give you the push to prioritize what's important. And I'm not saying like my other job wasn't important. For me, when I set my vision to be home more with my now 4-year-old, I started my business 4 years ago when she was a newborn. It was exactly that. Like I worked a little bit more at that time, but it gave me the time I have now, and I've had for the last 3 years with her, because I now do Wild Tree full time and a NICU nurse only per diem, which is a couple days a month. So I busted my butt in that time to get to where I am now, to get those luxuries of being home and being available and being able to sneak away to Disneyland several times a week. And I do. If you guys are friends with me, you see that. And I have that luxury now because I put in that time, exactly what you said, and prioritize. So if you ever have questions with that, connect with your upline. It's very normal to have mom guilt around that too. Like, am I doing the right thing? Having that person to talk through and seeing if that's good within this organization, within this group too. Okay. So I love that you brought that up. Okay. So the very next thing is, how do we move forward in achieving our vision and our dream? And Sarah's going to talk about Prosperity Circle with you, because this is how to make it happen, how the action steps come in line with that.
All right. Thanks, Mandy. Can you guys see me and hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'm so excited. I don't know if I look more clear to you guys, but I was like fuzzy and foggy earlier. And I like wiped off the camera and look, here I am. So anyway, that kind of just made my day right there. Okay, so like Mandy said, we're going to move into sharing with you something called the Prosperity Circle. And I know that some of you have had this before, but it's one of those things that it is helpful to hear again and again and again, because this is one of the most powerful and helpful tools in life, believe it or not. And so I'm just going to kind of, for those of you who haven't had this before, or even if you have, I think it's helpful to, if you're in a place where you can jot down some notes, I'm going to have you guys take like a whole piece of paper, or at least like a half sheet of paper, and just draw a circle. And I'm going to walk you through this really simple yet useful tool that we use a lot here at Wild Tree, and I want to help you to see how it applies to a lot of different things. So you guys all have your circle drawn? We are going to outline just 4 little spots along this circle. And one way that I describe this when I'm like on the phone or on a training call like this, I guess I could show you guys, but I don't have it like right here in front of me. Just think of like north, south, east, and west. And so I'm going to tell you a couple phrases or a word for you to write in each spot. So let's start at the north spot. This is at the very top of the circle, right? This is where you're going to write vision. This is what we've been talking about. Another word for this is dream. So you can write vision / dream / why. I'm going to give you a third one. So vision, dream, and why at the top. We are going to move clockwise to east, the east point, so the far right side of the circle. This is what is called excite. Another word for this one is connect. Excitement and connect. South, the south point, let's put the word action / work. And then finally, on the far left side of the circle, the west point, this is called analyze / evaluate. So I'm going to take a few minutes here and just describe each step along the way. But what I want you guys to know is that this can be applied to a lot of different things in life. Anytime you start something new, anytime you have, better yet, you have a specific goal, whether you are like, you know what, I am on a mission, I want to lose 25 pounds. Maybe for some people, another really good example is we have some credit card debt. I have a new goal. I have this vision. I have this dream of paying off all of our debt. Now what? Mandy used the example earlier today when we were chatting, like if you get this idea where you want to go run a marathon, that's where you start. At the top of the circle is dream, vision, why, something that you want to accomplish in life. And this also can be applied to working toward team leader with Wild Tree. And so that's really what we're using this for here. But what I want you guys to see is how this actually plays out to be true in every single aspect of life, anytime you start something new or have a goal, all right? So we talked a lot about vision at the very top. That's where we start. That is where you have to start. That is where you are going to find prosperity. So yes, you can start somewhere else in the circle, but I'm telling you, it's not going to work. It won't be prosperous. And so you always want to get super clear on your vision, just like what Mandy talked about. And I really appreciate those of you, a couple of you who shared too. You are on the right track. That is amazing. This is like what's big enough to get you out of bed every single morning and push you through, even when you don't feel like it, even when it's hard. What is so important to you that you're going to get from this? And so that's your vision and your dream. So next, when we move clockwise, like I said, Excitement and connect. This is the next step. Once you're super clear on your vision, we move into, this is not just feeling excited yourself. Obviously, hopefully you have butterflies in your stomach. Sometimes it's even like nervous excitement because you want that dream so bad. You want it to be a reality. So yes, it's feeling excited, but it's actually more so getting those around you excited. Getting those around you on board with you, getting those around you to support you and also be excited to help you achieve your vision, right? We all know it's way easier to accomplish a goal when we have other people on our side. And so that's what excitement and connect is. I like to think of this step as kind of like rallying the troops. You're bringing people in to help you, to support you, to cheer you on to achieve that vision, all right? So the next step at the bottom, the action and the work. Mandy's going to talk about this one in a little bit more detail here in a few minutes, but just to give you a quick idea, this is actually where we spend the bulk of our time when we are trying to accomplish a dream, a goal, a vision, a why. This is where we just kind of put our heads down and do the activity that we know it takes to, that's eventually going to get us to our dream and our vision. And so this obviously looks different for different circumstances. If you are trying to lose weight, the action is going to be like actually working out, meal planning, making your grocery list, doing the work that it requires to get it right. When it comes to getting to leader with Wild Tree, this is where we give you critical success factors. What exactly are you working on? What activities are going to get you there? So we're going to outline a lot of that in this program, obviously. The last stop along the way, over to the east side, evaluate, analyze. This is where we need to step back, pause, take a look at how things are going, and make tweaks, make adjustments. What's working? What's not working? What do I need to do differently? And then next is revisit your vision. And this is, we go around and around and around again. And here's what I want you guys to know. Our brains are wired. As human beings, we are created to survive, to kind of like, if you think about fight or flight, our brains are wired to protect us. And guess what that means? We're not wired to take risks. And some people would go as far as to say we're not even wired for success. And so most people naturally want to function in a counterclockwise motion. So I don't know if any of you guys can relate to this at all, but I'm guessing a couple of you may have already had this experience. Maybe you've established your dream or your vision, or you've even started down that path. And do you know what happens next for most of us? Our brains immediately analyze that and think like, oh, I don't know if this is possible, or maybe it's not good timing. I'm super busy, and gosh, maybe people won't support me. Our brains are wired to keep us safe, and they don't want us to move in prosperity direction. And so I just want you guys to be super aware of that, because that's not what's effective, and yet that's what our brains naturally want to do. So we want to kind of like rewire our brains to move in the different direction, to move towards prosperity and not backwards. So make sure that you're not analyzing your vision too soon, okay? We want to help you guys to move into that next phase of excitement and connect and bringing people in around your vision so that we can do the work and get busy and see if this is possible. But if you analyze too soon, you're not going anywhere. Hopefully that makes sense. I think I am, this is something that's really helpful to keep in front of you guys all the time, every single day. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling excited, before you connect with your leader on your one-on-one, just take a quick look at the prosperity circle. Keep it in front of you. Ask yourself, like, where am I on this? Am I going in the right direction? Am I spending too much time analyzing and not enough time working? This is so very powerful, and this is something that we're going to continue to kind of revisit and bring up and follow through this whole series. And so, like I said, make sure you always have it in front of you. And Mandy's going to take it from here and talk a little bit more. Oh, you know what? Actually, hang on, Mandy. Okay, so Mandy's going to talk about action, but before she does that, I almost forgot I want to take another quick minute to talk about this excitement phase. So hopefully we have your vision in place. The next step is excitement and bringing people in around you. And to be more specific on that in regard to this program and what we're asking of you guys, I want to just talk about the contact list, your contact list really quick. Or some people call this circles of influence. This is basically a massive list of everyone you know. How are you going to get people, how are you going to pull people in around your vision and get them excited and have them support you if you don't really know who you're asking or who to go to? This is one of the most critical steps when you are a brand new rep or when you're going for leader. So some of you might already have this in place, but I know some of you are brand new. And regardless of how long you've been at this with WildTree, please go back and revisit your contact list like right now, like today and tomorrow. Make sure that it's thorough, it's complete. Scroll through your Facebook friends and add every single person on there. It doesn't matter if they live close by. It doesn't matter if they're out of state. It doesn't matter if these are people who are single or have families or people you know love to cook, hate to cook, short on time, on a tight budget. You just want to add everybody, because here's the thing. Until you have this in place, like I said, we don't really know who to ask and how to move forward. And oftentimes we're wrong. And so the people that you first think of are going to love WildTree, and you feel like without a doubt, they're going to be my number one fan. Sometimes the timing isn't right for them, and they're not going to be ready to jump on board. And on the flip side of that, sometimes the people that you would least expect, you might quickly assume like, oh, she's crazy busy, I don't know, or gosh, I just know she's not much of a cook, so I'm not going to reach out to her right now. Oftentimes those people are the first ones to sign up and support us. And so that's my little plug for just not judging anybody, putting them down on your contact list. Don't assume who will or won't be interested. And also just making sure you have a really solid, thorough, diverse list in place before we move forward any further. Okay, now I'm turning it over to Mandy.
Okay, so exactly what Sarah said. I like to really plug into your head with this is don't answer the question for someone before you ask the question. And that is one thing that is a huge takeaway for me. I'm like, okay, don't answer the question for them. Ask the question. Always, always, always ask the question. And that might be something that will have you step outside your comfort zone. Oftentimes it is in this series, is making sure you always ask that question. Because if not, the answer is going to be no. If you don't ask the question, the answer is always no. And if it is yes, you would have missed out on that opportunity. So definitely always ask that question. So what I'm going to dive into right now is the action. And like Sarah said, this is where you're going to spend the bulk of your time. You are going to be in this action step more often than not. If you find yourself analyzing, like Sarah said, we often move to, before you spent a lot of time in action, remind yourself, oh, go back to action. Don't analyze. And I myself, I'm a big analyzer. I know Sarah is too. And so oftentimes we personally need to do that same thing. I need to step back and be like, okay, am I analyzing this? Did I put in enough action steps so I'm ready to analyze it? And that's perfectly okay. That's why having this circle in front of you allows you to remind yourself like, oh, that's right. I need to probably go back to action before I can analyze and realize that this is indeed working or not working. So that's super important. So the action, this is where you're doing the work that it takes to achieve that vision, that really top north. And this is where you're making your calls, where you're filling your calendar, where you're asking the questions, you're doing the parties, you're working through your funnel list. If you don't have a funnel list, that's what we call like your recruiting funnel. Anybody you talk to about the opportunity, you need to have that written down, because like Sarah said, if they're not ready now, they might be ready in the future, or they might be ready in 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, no matter what it is. And that's the perfect example on this call is both Cindy, who's not on right now, and also Adrian, who they've been customers for a very long time, but that now is the time. So putting that off and not asking them and revisiting and continuing to share about the opportunity is huge, and showing you that if they might need time. And so if you have a list and keep track of who you've connected with about the opportunity, and continue to follow up with them, whether it's in 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever it is, it allows you to come back and really circle back and provide them that service and follow up with that interest. So this is the time to call in all favors. So you have friends, you have the friends who, you have family, you have people who, like you said yes to for so many things. And really get those bookings in January. And now's the time, because as we're moving into that holiday season, you're having all your holiday parties, you're seeing all these people. This is when you're going to ask and say, hey, I am really ramping up my business in 2018. And I would be honored if you would be willing to host a party for me or join my team, because I think you'd be awesome at this and I'd love to partner with you. So really breaking that down. So really, as you're out to all these parties and in front of tons of family members and getting your Christmas cards even, and you're seeing all those people that you're like, oh yeah, this person would love it. I know she lives in another city or state or whatever. This is your opportunity to really connect with those. So you want to break down and have at least 8 bookings in January. Being that it is the new year, people are ready to get back on track with eating better, eating at home, meal planning. And so this is the time to really abundantly fill your calendar. I actually usually on average do about 6 to 8 workshops a month. January, I often will do 10 to 12. Last year I did 15. And the reason being is because that propels me into having a strong, into spring, summer, and just really propels you into having an awesome, fabulous year. So let's break that down a little bit. You want to have 2 workshops yourself scheduled. That right in the beginning of January is an awesome time. Hosting your own tasting parties. The 2018 wellness tasting party is an awesome option. Hosting a workshop a couple weeks later, and even hosting into February when you close it in January is an awesome option too. 2 no-brainer workshops. Those are those people that that you say, hey, let's go do this crazy idea, and they'd sign up just because it's doing it with you. Calling those people. You have those friends or your in-laws or your sister-in-law or your friend or your neighbor or whoever it is, calling those people and say, okay, so I am really looking at increasing my business. I would really love for you to host a party with me. I know you know a ton of busy moms, whatever that looks like. So 2 no-brainers. The next one are 4 uncomfortable people that you probably have had in your mind of who you think would be awesome as hosts because you see they have a lot of connections, or who you see that has posted about meal planning, or who is busy that could really use having meals. And so those are 4 uncomfortable people. We call that do it scared, being uncomfortable. We know that it's probably uncomfortable to pick up the phone and say, hey, I would love for you to host a party for me. What do you think? But we say do it scared anyways. And I tell my 4-year-old this all the time. She's like, but I'm scared. I'm like, but you got to do it scared, baby. And the same thing applies here, because although it is uncomfortable to get on the phone and call people, you will, you're not going to get where you want to go on your vision if you don't do that. So this is where your contact list of 100 comes, and also bookings from bookings. So when you have your parties, whether you have any parties in December, whether you're doing any tasting parties between Christmas and New Year's, or the first week of January, you want to get bookings at bookings. So you have your contact list of 100 that you call people, connect with, message them on Facebook, asking them to host for you. And then when you're at those parties that you already have on your calendar, you want to get bookings at bookings. And that way you're guaranteeing that you're continuing business with that group of people that's there. And that is huge. And that's actually where the bulk of my bookings personally come from. But I know in the beginning it's harder to get those, because you fail to ask the question of, hey, it looks like you're having a lot of fun here. Would you be interested in hosting a party? It's a great time of year. People are you know, you're going to be upset when, or sad when your freezer is empty. And this way it gives you an opportunity to restock and all that as well. So bookings from bookings is huge. And we'll continue to share about that in the leader in training. But just be aware if you have any bookings in the next coming weeks that you want to work on that. And then as we move into January, we'll post about how to get bookings at bookings. We all also have that one person that we can call that would kind of really do anything to support you. Like, yep, I'm your biggest cheerleader, whether it's your mom, your best friend, whoever that is. So that's also an opportunity too for you to plug into. And again, it's just asking that question. So we want to set you up for success. So the big picture is to have at least 8 parties. Like I said, 10 parties is not going to hurt you by any means if you can make that in your schedule. And that involves your team parties too. So when you're recruiting and sharing, you want to make sure that you have at least 8 to 10 team parties on your calendar. Like they shared last week, the bulk of those are going to be coming from you in the beginning. But as you continuously and consistently work your business every month, you're going to consistently be around enough people and share the opportunity and grow your team also. And remember, your own parties count in those numbers too. So part of the vision also means that you see yourself being in business with, who you see yourself being in business with. Like I said, the recruiting funnel. If you could hand select people, we call that your dream team, who you would want them to be on your team and why. So make a list, invite them to our live opportunity events every Wednesday night we have on Facebook. If you're not plugged into that, make sure you connect with your upline team leader or director. Every Wednesday, a director will go live on Facebook in that group, and it allows people to really get information about the opportunity without having to leave their home. Another way too is to connect with your upline director and schedule a 3-way call with that person and yourself, and really help you team build. And another thing, something you can say is, I thought of you because I know you're busy. I know you love to eat good food. I know you care about what you feed your kids, but not sure if you ever considered it, but would you be interested in hearing more about Wild Tree and joining in on this call and learning more about what I do? And then again, the same way is with the 3-way call with your director. You just need to invite them, and we will help get them on board, share what Wild Tree is all about, share the excitement, and then we also help support you with all your new reps also. So it might be scary at first, thinking like, oh my gosh, how am I going to train this rep? We have the new rep training all laid out for you, and we partner with you and that new rep to get them off strong, and we really work with you until you're ready to like fly on your own, and that could be a while, and that's okay. Okay, so one thing I really want to point out here though, okay, and I want this to be in big and bold and like super clear when we walk away from this call. You will hear no when you do this. Be ready for rejection. If your best friend says, no, I am not interested in hosting right now, that's when you need to if you get bummed, call your leader. Don't go tell your husband or your significant other or whoever it is. Don't give up when you hear the no's. It's expected. That's part of business. And I like to say it's no right now, but not no forever. And so every no you get leads you closer to your yes. If every single person on your contact list of 100 said yes, you would be overwhelmed and not be able to fill them in your calendar. However, if a select few, 5 to whatever, say yes now, and then down the road, those other people may come around, and then you have time to fill them in your calendar, okay? So if you only get yeses, then you're really only asking safe people. You're not stepping outside that comfort zone, those 4 uncomfortable parties that we ask you to book. So it's no judgment. I can guarantee you that those that you think will say yes may say no, and those who you think may say no may say yes. Like, that's part of the game and part of the numbers and crunching it. So be ready for rejection. Be ready to hear no. And I like to celebrate those no's because we all hear them, and it's part of this beast. And so go ahead, celebrate them, because that will get you closer to your yes and achieving your bigger vision. All right, Sarah, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Mandy. Awesome info. I want to swing back around really quick to going back to your contact list in regard to Mandy's giving you guys action steps. This is where we're going to start to actually do the work to fill your calendar, which is pretty much one of the first steps in this program. So back to the contact list.
Hi, Kevin Cole here.
Sorry.
Hey.
My video, I try to close out things because my computer is being slow. There we go.
Okay, you good?
Yeah, sorry.
All right, so once I talked earlier about your contact list, once you guys have that in place and you feel like it's pretty solid, I want you to go through in the next day or two with a highlighter. Go ahead and just pick 2 different colors. I like to use yellow and pink personally. I don't know why. This is probably just what's like in my desk drawer, but I like to highlight in yellow anybody that you think that you would love to have host for you. Anybody who you think would be an awesome host because they know a ton of people, or they know a ton of people that you don't know. Anybody that maybe you've hosted for them before. Basically everybody that Mandy just outlined, who do you want to ask to host for you? Now, some of them might make you feel nervous. Some of them might make you feel like, oh, I don't really know how to approach this with her, or this feels scary. That's where your upline leader or director comes in, okay? Let us help you with the approach so that it does feel comfortable to you. Next, with the other color, go through your contact list and highlight anyone and everyone on this list that either needs WildTree in their life from a business standpoint. Maybe you know for a fact they could use some extra money. Maybe you feel like they would be really into some of the personal development that we offer here at WildTree. Maybe it's someone that you know that is like a stay-at-home mom, for example, and is going crazy and would just love to get out of the house once or twice a week. Who do you know that needs WildTree in their life from a business standpoint? And also with that pink highlighter, who do you know on this list that WildTree needs? Go ahead and highlight those people on your list that you would just love to work with because they're smart, because they're fun, because they're savvy, because they're ambitious. So both standpoints, who could WildTree be a huge blessing to, and who would be a huge blessing to our company? Go ahead and highlight these people. We're not going to reach out to all of them in one day, don't worry, but this basically just gets us started and thinking about who we're going to ask and how to move forward. So with that, I want to take a minute to outline just kind of some steps as we wrap up the call here. All right, so obviously that's one of your steps. I'm going to go back to the very beginning of this call, your vision. If you don't have your vision in place, make this your top priority. If you're struggling with this, which is okay, don't beat yourself up about it. Just make sure you connect with your upline leader or director right away because they can help you to get at least something in place. This is something that changes over time, but it's really difficult. It's not effective to move forward in this program if you don't have some type of vision in front of you. So make sure you get super clear on that you write it down, that you make it pretty, that you share it with others. And then also, if you don't already have that one-on-one scheduled with your upline leader or director, make sure you have that in place. And then next, we are going to take this contact list and take kind of that context that I just gave you with highlighting names and move into what we call critical success factors here at WildTree. This is the work. This is the action that it takes. And so we're going to give you some suggested scripts and ideas and how to start reaching out to people. But our number one goal right now is at least 10 contacts a day. Now, this doesn't mean that you're going to connect with 10 people in a day. If you do, that's awesome. That's great. I can almost guarantee that's not going to happen, though. We just want to reach out 10 times. There's a ton of power in our voice. So I know sometimes phone calls can be uncomfortable to people. It's not something a lot of people do these days, which is even more reason why we should do it. So phone calls, but we also follow up with text messaging, emails, Facebook messages, all different ways of reaching out to people. But our goal is to reach out to 10 different people each day. And we're going to give you some suggested ideas and words and scripts and exactly what to say. I encourage you guys to make it your own, obviously, but there's kind of a key formula here that we suggest that's really effective. And what that sounds like is a quick introduction and what your goal is when you connect with people, what you're asking from them, and by when, and then why you thought of them specifically. What's in it for them? And then at the end of the message or the end of the call or the email, what are the next steps? What can they expect from you next? So to give you guys, I know we're starting to approach our end time here, but to give you guys a really quick glimpse of what this sounds like, and then we can go a little bit deeper on this in our one-on-ones this week as well as our group call next week. But just something like, hey, Mandy, it's Sarah. I know that I told you about this Wild Tree thing that I started up a while ago. We are a meal planning company, and I'm just reaching out today because I have set this crazy goal of getting a promotion with the company. And I'm actually looking for 4 more people to gather their friends for a cooking workshop and during the month of January. And gosh, I just thought of you because I know how crazy busy you are, and I'm guessing having some meals on hand ready to go would be awesome for your family. The cool thing about this is that you'll earn a ton of free Wild Tree, learn a little bit more about what we do, and have an awesome night out with your friends. I am going to shoot you a personal message with my open dates. Take a look. Let me know if one works for you. And if I don't hear back, I'll try you again here in another couple days. I'll reach out. All right. Hope you have a great day. So it's that simple. You guys can, and that's just like one example. But you see I hit on each point. What my goal is, what I'm asking for, by when, why I thought of them specifically to personalize it, what's the benefit to them, and then what's going to happen next, what the next steps are. I'll send you an email, or I'll call you back in a couple days if I don't hear from you. So we're just going to ask that you guys use these simple scripts to start reaching out to those people on your contact list. All right, Mandy, I think Mandy's going to wrap us up here.
Let me see I had to like restart my.
Oh no.
No,
I can keep going if you don't have it in front of you.
You're good. That's why everything like came up. It started popping up because it was slow. Okay, so Sarah talked about virtually what we're going to recap on is filling in your the prosperity circle, creating your vision. If you don't have that, that's huge. And taking a picture, you guys. Draw it out, whatever it is, and write it out and post it up. Take a picture, post it to our LIT series group. That group is really a safe haven for us to come together. So please don't be shy about sharing and connecting and asking questions in a safe, comfortable space in there as well. Filling your calendar, connecting with those who are already on your team, and helping them get bookings on their calendar also, and telling them why they want to get bookings. If you're not sure how to do this, connect with your upline, because that's really important. Another importance is, recap wise, is that you need to be on your upline's calendar every week for a coaching call. This is critical to helping you promote. We work for ourselves, but we do not work by ourselves. And when we start working by ourselves, that's where you run into some self-doubt. That's where you run into, this can't happen. I won't be able to make this happen. But in reality, if you really connect, you will have that, that ability to work through some of those ups and downs and really have that stability with your upline director or team leader. Anything that you don't, we kind of chatted a little bit about, but if you don't have bookings on your calendar, or you want to really connect with people, connecting with them about Wild Tree, like Sarah said, the words that she used, filling them in and connecting what is Wild Tree, filling them in and doing a one-on-one with them. And we can chat with about that also. I think that is it. I'm trying to look through. Making the 10 contacts a day, why it's critically important. Consistency is the key here, you guys. It's the consistency every day. The more that you're consistent with it, the more success you're going to have. You can't analyze and say, I made 10 calls a day for 3 days and I got nothing. That's moving from action to analyzing too quick. It's that consistency. Sarah, is there anything else I'm missing?
Just to be really clear, our goal is to help you guys to have 4 additional bookings on your calendar. So some of you have 0 right now. Some of you might already have 2 or 3, 4 or 5. In the next week, we want to really encourage you to focus on bookings. Yes, the team members are important, and that will come, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that down the road. But a lot of times you find your team members at your bookings, and so that's where we like to start. So use these scripts, fill your calendar, connect with your upline as far as what your calendar looks like currently, so we can help you fill in the gaps. And keep in mind, if you don't already have a couple workshops or tastings or events of your own on your calendar for January, do that now. Go ahead and set those dates. Those are the easiest bookings for us to get in place, is just to host your own, because obviously not everybody on your contact list is going to be in a place to host for you. You need to have something to invite them to. So first and foremost, we're looking for hosts. Secondary, if someone's not up for it or just can't or isn't interested in that right now, say, no worries. Why don't you come on over? I have a couple dates coming up at my place. So our goal is just to connect with people, get them plugged in, and help them figure out how Wild Tree can fit in. And I think that's it, Mandy.
Yay, I think that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for dealing with the technical difficulties in the beginning.
Yeah, thanks for your patience.
We will always post the Zoom link that day, probably 20, 30 minutes before the call, and we'll try to tag everybody, but just make sure that that's where we're going to be posting it. Okay. Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.